Shearin. Thank you very much for joining me today at RiskMinds HQ. I just wanted to talk to you today about the Basel reform. It's on everybody's mind. Tell us, what can we expect by the end of the year?
Lovely to come here. Thanks for having me, Lily. The Basel reform is on everybody's mind this year because I think this time last year we were hoping to get a bit closer to the finishing line. I always say that we're definitely getting closer. We are expecting the consolidated UK rule set shortly, hopefully in a matter of months/weeks, which means that essentially along with Europe, both UK and Europe would have essentially a consolidated rule set by end of this year. Although the slight nuance there is the European Banking Authority is still working through various level 2 legislations and regulations, so as we speak. And as an industry, we're supporting them on this journey, hopefully, to help them getting closer to the finishing line by end of this year. The go-live timeline is obviously in everybody's mind. I mean, Europe literally just announced the Delegated Act for FRTB, which means the market risk component will be delayed by about a year to 1 Jan 2026, although the rest of the package will go live on 1 Jan 2025. And I think UK hasn't committed any adjustment to the timeline. So currently the UK timeline remains to be 1 July 2025, and we'll see what the Bank of England says as and when the rules are being published. No doubt, US timeline remains one of the biggest variables and also questions in everybody's mind. Hopefully, later this year, we'll be expecting the revised proposal on the US side, also called the US Basel III Endgame. And hopefully, again, by end of this year, we'll have 3 different set of rules, namely the UK, Europe, and US to compare and contrast. And hopefully, we'll be able to get together at RiskMinds and I think talk about the differences and nuances, I think, across all 3 jurisdictions in that sense. But definitely, as I said, beginning of this question, we're getting closer to the finishing line.
Wonderful. And yes, I remember last year we were talking about the US variations in approaches. So yeah, looking forward to seeing how that develops later in the year. I also wanted to talk to you about regtech and its adoption rate. Can you tell us more about its development in the future?
RegTech is, of course, one of the more exciting areas or emerging technology areas in the field. I am going to start by quoting Cecilia Skinsley, who is the BIS Innovation Hub. She said there's been lots of talking and excitement in the regulatory community about RegTech over the past decade. However, a lot development and commitment has yet to come in the space, and I definitely agree with her. The reality is, if we look at the regtech industry as a whole, it has been experiencing organic growth in the last decade, especially in light of the need for automation, efficiency gains, in particularly on regulatory analysis, right, and dealing with regulatory demands and requests. However, I think there are quite a few main components that requires tinkering and understanding and appreciating the nuances. One is on we'll call them the jurisdictional variances, because they are highly dependent on the regulatory setup, the nature of or the foundation of the regulations and rules in different jurisdictions, as well as sort of that engagement model in that sense. The other thing I think more commonly is what we call the use case. The use case often is a consolidation or compilation of a few key factors, such as the data request, the data consolidation, data reporting, both on regulatory side and bank side. There's also called regulatory sentiment analysis, regulatory semantics analysis in that sense, in particularly, I think, from the private sectors or the industry to understand what regulators are talking about, most concerned about. And above all is how do we achieve that automation and processing efficiency. So that's the underlying technology being used in this space. And it's by no means an easy problem to solve. So in recent years, we have seen, for instance, deployment of something like Gen AI in this space to help process some of the regulations that's currently in the public domain with a varying degree of success, right? Because again, these are highly dependent on the regulations that has been written within different jurisdictions, and they don't quite commonly have the same style. So I think we'll see a lot of excitement in this space to come, especially with advancement of technology. But again, as Cecilia has said very artfully, we need to just get on with it and do and execute, right? So I think exciting space to be in, and more to come.
Wonderful. And finally, I just wanted to talk about RiskMinds International. I mean, we already mentioned it. No doubt we'll be talking about Basel III at the event, certainly under the Global Risk Regulation Summit. But what are you excited to talk about this year, and what are you excited to learn about?
I think RiskMinds International has always been this excellent platforms to combine with varying sub-communities within our risk and compliance management field. So if we look at what RiskMinds last year delivered, it was essentially not just bringing also regulatory analysts or policy makers into the space, but also risk managers, which addresses emerging risks, as well as traditional financial and non-financial risk, on top of compliance officers for the first time, which talks about essentially the challenges such as sanctioning, financial crime, and the compliance management. So I think this year it will be, again, the same community of people in getting together and compare notes in a very robust manner. So this is absolutely a selling point of RiskMinds International. And on top of that, as we live in an ever increasingly geopolitical, tension-rich society and the world, so as we speak today, I think the wars ongoing, there are lots of elections that has taken place and about to take place this year, in particularly in the West. So how do risk managers, policymakers, and compliance officers deal with this ever-increasing geopolitical tension? What becomes a hot topic as well. I think if I recall a few years back, RiskMinds actually was one of the first conferences brought geopolitical risk into the front and center of the day one agenda. And I look forward to hearing these discussions and debate as well in RiskMinds main event.
Wonderful. Shearin, thank you so much for joining us today, and I look forward to seeing you in November.
Thank you very much for having me. Thanks.